Okay, welcome everybody to the Environmental Education Outcomes webinar. This is week 2. I'm so excited that this time it's going to be very unusual. That not us, not course instructors will be presenting, but some of you course participants. Okay, I'd like to start first my small presentations, just a few slides. And actually, okay, let me share my presentation. And we'll hear a few words from course instructors just in a second. Okay, so this is webinar week number 2. This is a reminder who are your instructors. If Marianne and Yue are here already, maybe they have any course announcements or anything that they would like to say. Marianne, are you here?
I'm here.
Awesome. Good morning. Do you have anything for the course?
Not that I can think of right now. I appreciate everybody being very active on Facebook, and some people have started some great discussions on Facebook. I'm assuming something similar is happening on WeChat. But if you have questions or confusions about the course, please feel free to put them in the chat group.
And actually, I have one question. Last time we mentioned that 2 weeks will be sort of like 1 week, or like week 3 and week 4 will be the same materials because week 4 is Thanksgiving or something. Can you explain this? Because I had some questions maybe from 2 participants.
Sure. Trying to remember where we are right now. In any event, there was week 1, week 2, and then there's week 3. But essentially, week 3, you have 2 weeks to complete the assignments. Week 3 is on environmental behaviors, and it overlaps with, in the US, the Thanksgiving holiday. So most people wouldn't be working from about Wednesday afternoon, and they'd be off Thursday and Friday and doing a lot of things with family. So we essentially 1 week's worth of work, you have 2 weeks to complete it. It's also really great because if you're behind, then you can catch it. It gives you a time to catch up.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you. Okay, and we also have Yue Li. Yue.
Hi, everyone.
Do you have any updates that you would like to share, or maybe anything that participants ask you often that you would like to clarify?
Yeah, so about the course, this is our week 2. I just want to remind those who ever haven't took the course survey, please do it as soon as possible. This survey we send out through email, and it's also under the course overview. And another thing is some participants asked about the progress, the audit track. We also mentioned this in the weekly email, but still some students have questions about it. Just because under the progress, it shows you are on an auditing track. So just ignore that because that is from edX Edge, the platform itself. We actually provide the certificate directly from Cornell if you complete the course in the end. So just don't worry about that. And otherwise, since the second discussion on edX Edge, you are assigned, you're actually divided into different smaller discussion groups. I just want to encourage everyone to go on discussion board, and those who posted earlier can check back to see other participants' posts and comment on each other. So enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yue. Okay, we go back to our little presentation. And again, if anybody has any questions, please type right now in the chat box or during this presentation. Okay. I want to remind everybody also that we have community groups, and I think there's more than 40 groups all around the world. So community groups are self-organized groups in this course organized by some of you participants. And if you join a community group, you will have support from peers. So not only from instructors in this course, but also from peers. There's all kinds of activities that you can participate in by joining in different groups. Some of them are local groups, for example, like in Beijing, in Shanghai, or in Mexico, etc. So you can, for community groups, you can actually meet face-to-face with some course participants. Some of them are more online and based on some region, on the language support, or on some idea, for example, Montessori approaches group. And so there's so many possibilities that you can work and benefit by participation in community groups, including to develop your professional network and create long-lasting relations with your environmental education colleagues. So here's the link for community groups. It's still not late to join any of them. Please go ahead and check them. I hear some positive feedback from participants. What else? Okay.
Alex?
Yes.
Can I add something? This is Marianne on community groups. Really appreciate those of you who continued your group from the intro course to this course, EE Outcomes. And you're really stimulating our thinking, our sort of core team here at Cornell, about how this sort of our courses and these community groups are becoming more like a professional learning network. And I think it was Juan who's written me an email, and I apologize I haven't responded yet, but you know, if you have thoughts, ideas about how we can better do this learning network, not just the courses, but the wider learning community, then certainly we're open to it.
Yeah, that's very exciting what Marianne mentioned, that some of the community groups that have been created in previous courses in last summer or even earlier, they still continue. They go from course to course. So if any of you join some of the community groups, there is a chance that this community group will live on, and you will be part basically of another great professional network that is specific to your interests or region or language. Yeah, and we're so excited that many community groups continue on and on. Okay. So
Alex, I have one other question.
Oh, yes.
There's a candle behind you. Does this mean the lights are out in Russia?
It just means that's a very late night, and I try to brighten my night. It's very, very cold, like minus 27 Celsius, which is minus 16, or I don't know, maybe 16 in Fahrenheit or something like that. So very cold.
Okay.
But not so cold inside. Okay, let's continue. But it was a good question. So we are so excited that in this webinar, and hopefully if this experiment works well in future webinars too, we will have more webinars led by you. So today, you see this schedule for webinar 1 and webinar 2. They are different, except for there will be overlap with one presentation from Colombia. But we know that most people participate either in the morning or in the evening, but you can participate also in the evening. You see there's so many different presenters. So basically what we want from them today is presentations will be up to 15 minutes, and they will include a short description of environmental education programs or environmental education initiative or similar initiatives. Then participants, these presenters will describe how they try, which environmental education outcomes they try to achieve, and then how they try to achieve them. So this week, for example, in our course, we focus on outcomes such as social identity and some other outcomes. So we will specifically look at how those outcomes are featured in these EE programs. And but also, I invite presenters to discuss a little bit more like how they try to achieve them, so that we move towards thinking about theory of change, which we will discuss more towards the end of this course, but we will be getting prepared. We will be thinking about different steps, how you arrive to that outcome that you want to get. Okay, and then we'll have also questions and answers, which we can do at the end of each presentation or during the presentation. So always feel free to type your question. I think there's a couple of questions in the chat box. I don't know if Marian or you keep a track, or should we respond? I think Marian already responded. Okay. Okay.
But it's a larger question, Alex, that we should come back to.
Okay. Can we? Yeah, I haven't read. Can you take it?
I don't understand the total circumstance of what Wang Ji is asking, but it seems to me it's a question about using, say, regular curriculum and using the same size fits all. In other words, one curriculum for every different place where you might work, or adapting curriculum to the specific setting. And so I think it's more of a discussion that we might want to have at a future date, and maybe with some help, Wang Xi might be able to lead that discussion if she's not already presenting. So just to maybe keep it on for future.
Yeah, I think this is great. And maybe it's a little bit applicable to our today's discussion. So maybe if we remember, could get back to this. From presenters, we'll see what outcomes they're trying to achieve and how. And then we can think whether their recipe or their way to get to those outcomes is useful in other locations, or what can we learn from each other when we try to achieve different environmental education outcomes, and whether different curricula work, for example, for the same steps. I don't know. Great question. So, okay, so I stop sharing here. And we'll have today 3 presentations up to 15 minutes, maybe more like try to have 10-minute presentation and then 5-minute question and answer. And this is totally an experiment. This is the first time we are trying to do this, so let's see how it works. Okay, so I'd like first to welcome our first presenter, Juan, from Colombia. So Juan, you are already co-host. Okay, so now you take the stage. Maybe you can talk without share screen just a little bit so we can see your face. And then share the screen.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And maybe first try to be brief, like 10 minutes for your presentation, and then we'll see if we have time and how it goes, then more for questions, okay?
Okay, thank you, Alex. Thank you, Marianne, and thank you, Julie, for this opportunity to share with this learning community our environmental educational plan here in Montessori. For me, it's an honor and something that I have taken very seriously. And for our institution, the Montessori School of Cartagena, it's quite an honor as well to be part of this experiment. So important, so interesting. So let me share you my screen. Okay, everybody. Is it okay? Everybody can see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, in this first slide, I wanted to capture some of the values that we pursue here in the Montessori School of Cartagena. That is very common among all the Montessori schools in the world. Just a few values that we stress during the whole year: respect, responsibility, cooperation, autonomy, and love. Cartagena, it's a coast city in the Caribbean coast in the north part of Colombia. It's a 1 million inhabitant city. And the Montessori school is a private school. We have like 800 students from preschool to 11th grade. And we are located in a neighborhood in Cartagena de Indias, Colombia, that is known as Manga. It's like an island. And that is a very interesting fact regarding place-based learning, being in an island for place awareness. Our symbol, the school symbol, is the iguana, and it tells our devotion to our environment and environmental education. We have like a cathedra of the iguana where we teach our students about the ecology, habits, all the environmental facts about the iguana, because we have a lot of iguanas here in our school, and we want all our students to be aware of them and care about them. The environmental program of the school is grounded in our vision, our mission, and in the Colombian law. In our vision, because we envision that families get involved in our school in a transformative way. So it's a transgenerational role. And so we are educating the future parents of those families. So it's more than one generation. Now it's not only this generation, but the generations to come. The second in our mission is we declare our commitment with the environment, with society, and with the formation of this holistic human being that, as we said, is capable to understand the complex equilibrium that regulates Mother Earth processes and this present and future sustainability. And it is grounded in the Colombian law. By law, every school in Colombia has to have a environmental plan, educational environmental plan. It is mandatory by law. Ours is a very particular environmental plan because it has to consider the Montessori's most valuable principles. And one of them is the Montessori's cosmic education principle. It's present all the way in the curriculum from kinder to 11. And I think Maria Montessori was an advanced woman in her time, because at the beginning of the last century, she stated that humans were an integral part of the cosmos. And that gives us a sense of being part of something bigger than us, that we have to care as other beings in this cosmos. The other element that is present in the environmental educational plan of Montessori is education for peace. It's another of the Montessori's principles. And the metaphor is a peace flower, and each petal of the flower represents an awareness. So there are 4 awarenesses: self-awareness, community awareness, cultural awareness, and environmental awareness. And this is very important because our environmental plan is much more robust than a regular plan in other institutions, because we have to consider not only the environment, but also the community, the culture, and the self. This year, we redesigned the environmental educational plan. The school was very strong in the curricular part. We were very strong on that, but we found out that we were very weak in the doing. We were more strong in the saying, and as we have read in the materials this week, talking is not enough. Talking is not going to make a change in people. We learn by example, we learn by doing, we learn by being involved in something else. So the school decided to hire a person just to conduct the environmental ecological educational plan. And the first thing we decided is that this plan never will be a final product. It's going to be permanently in permanent construction. Secondly, we decided that it is a collective construction. All the stakeholders have to be present in the construction of this environmental plan. And we chose as a community 4 lines of action. The biodiversity preservation, that is a must in a mega diverse country like Colombia. It's something that I am very concerned with, how to make citizenship in a mega diverse country is something very, very complex. The other aspect that concerns us is the solid residual management and disposal. The place awareness, and it is because we are located in this island that has to tell us a lot, not only about this neighborhood, but about this city. This is a city that has grown very fast and in a very disorganized way. We have created a lot of pressure on the systems. We haven't adequate our systems to host so many buildings, so many tourists, and this is growing like a time bomb. So this is something that we have to get aware of. And secondly, we have a second side that is like an ecological park in the northern part of the city. And we are not very aware of the possibilities of that park. So one of our missions in this ecological plan was to be aware of these vital life classroom and to start using it. And the fourth aspect of the plan is citizenship. Build citizenship regarding all the aspects, not only in environment, but in all aspects. And we decided to have 3 types of initiatives. The activities I understood as short-term, very short, 1 or 2 days. Programs like middle-term, like weeks or so, and projects that were more extended. In this slide, I wanted to make like what is it called, a sample of the activities that we have done this year, and to realize that the activities, programs, and projects that we did this year are related with each of the awarenesses and with the outcomes that we are studying in our outcome environmental education course. Our school year here in the Montessori goes from January to December. So we are ending our school year today. Classes go until tomorrow. The students go for the end of year vacation, and we are making the balance of the school year in all the aspects. And in this collage, we can see that at the beginning of the year, we started with participating in the Neotropical Aquatic Bird Census, being part of that census. And we did a workshop about the birds of the tropical dry forest. We invited the students, not only of our school, but other schools in the north zone of Cartagena. Is the tropical dry forest a very threatened ecosystem? Colombia is very concerned about that. We have just 6% of the original coverage of the tropical dry forest ecosystem. So we are very concerned about that. The other activities, we had classes, regular environmental and science classes in the eco park, using that live classroom in different ways. We build capacity among our teachers regarding problem-based learning and project-based learning. And we are expecting to have more workshops next year regarding community-based learning and social-based learning, because we think that that's very important to follow and to foster programs, projects that attend important issues proposed by our students. We also has this cleanup journey in the bay of the Manga Bay. We invited people from the neighborhood, and we leaded that activity. And we took part in a very interesting project known as Expedition Bio, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And we have this project about about residual management, where the maintenance workers take part. Is an action participation project. Here, it's like the pathway that we are following in order to build, in this case, and develop political efficacy. This year, we have some activities that set example and open the school to the neighborhood, to the city, that show our community that we were part of something bigger that is outside our school. Those were the census, the cleanup session, and in blue, the programs, we have the building up capacity activities with the teachers. That is very important to support the projects that are going to come in the future. We have this project that has lasted the whole year that is regarding the management of the residuals in the school, that involves the maintenance personnel and the students and other stakeholders. And the idea is that it becomes profitable for them to increase their earnings and to manage this issue. And we have faced some difficulties with that. I think it's something that we need to continue working, because the city is not prepared to receive sorted residuals. So it's something that we can influence next year in the city to start a program of receiving sorted residuals in the origin. And project, the other project that was very, very important was Expedición Bio. It's an initiative of Conciencias and Ondas, Waves. It's a program of government. It's a pilot here in the Departamento de Bolívar, our state, that involves schools. We get connected in a network using technology, and we make inventories, fauna and flora inventories, and also culture inventories around our schools. And we share these findings in technological platforms such as iNaturalist, Encyclopedia of Life, and it is part of the science fair circuit in Colombia. So our students participated, and we presented the project in a department science fair. They won. They classified for the regionals, so that that creates also a political efficacy to see that they are gaining things, that it is possible to do something significant, and that is recognized by the city, by the department, and now they are going to represent the department with the best projects of the Caribbean coast in Colombia, and then the possibility to go to the nationals. But what it is most important of all this is that they were initiatives that trigger questions in the students. And Expedición Bio, for example, it was grounded in 6th grade and 7th grade, where we consider is the best year to start this process of involving the students attending real issues. They have learned to do school research, they learn the methodologies, they inquire about these real issues, and Expedición Bio set the example. And we have this knowledge fair. That is something that we changed this year as well. It was only science and involved only biology, chemistry, and physics. But this year we opened this knowledge fair to all the subjects. And we invited the students to participate voluntarily, attending the issues they wanted to attend, and from any form of knowledge. So we had projects regarding social studies, regarding environment and issues, obesity. There were all kind of projects, and some projects regarding the
Juan, I think, I'm not sure, but maybe I cannot hear you. Is it just me?
Sorry,
Now
can you hear me?
yes, now we can hear you. So Juan, we have just 1 minute left for your presentation. Maybe you can wrap up quickly if you would like to take one question, because it's already 8:30.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that from this science fair, there were like 4 and 5 important environmental projects proposed by the students that are going to continue next year, attending important environmental issues. And we have grown the capacity in the teachers in problem-based and project-based. That is going to be where we are going to reach this outcome of political efficacy. And finally, just to finish here, collage regarding Expedition Bio. That was the example that we follow for environmental projects and participating with other schools in Bolivia, and some of the elements that take part in that project. Well, that was it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
If you have any question, go ahead.
Thank you so much. So I invite everybody, because we are so short of time. If somebody has specific questions for Juan, you can type here. And Juan, if you see questions for you, you can answer them directly in the chat box. Well, maybe we do have just one question, time for one question on one comment. I actually would like to think, when I'm thinking how we can present our different areas of change, and when I looked at your diagram on the slide, 2 slides before the last slide, I think this is like a practical plan, but it also has different theories of change, or how creatively we can present it by showing different activities, projects, and programs, and how they merge all together. Maybe you could just add a little bit more on what are smaller outcomes that you have on the way before getting to political efficacy. I think, right? So I think just that diagram is looking just perfect. So I think that could be turned into the theory of change with pretty, I think, easily, or it's a great start. I don't know if Marian or Yura has any comments, or if we have any really burning questions, and then we'll move on to another presenter.
Yeah, I think we have some great comments about EE policies in different countries, which could also be a topic for another webinar, or maybe a special webinar. But I think we need to move on, because we need to be fair to the other presenters.
Excellent.
Thanks, Juan. Really, really interesting, and I'd love to learn more if we had more time.
Thank you, and thanks again.
Thank you, Marianne.
Also present this evening, maybe at that time a little bit more condensed, and you'll have time for questions. Thank you again. All right, so now we'll have a presentation by Yi Zhang. Yi, are you here? Can you unmute yourself? Or maybe I'll unmute you. Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi. Excellent.
Here.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, so you will be presenting about picture books and related environmental education outcomes. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to make you a co-host right now. So now you'll be able to share your screen. So now you share screen.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can you see?
So open your PowerPoint presentation, and then in Zoom, click share screen. We don't see it yet.
Okay.
Share screen should be on the bottom.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, almost there.
Okay, please hold for a minute.
Yeah, we don't. Oh, okay, excellent.
Okay.
Almost. We can almost see your presentation. Maybe you can click presentation on the bottom, like so it presents full screen.
Now, how about?
Yes, excellent, excellent, excellent. Awesome. Okay, so you'll have about 8 to 10 minutes of talk and then a couple of minutes for questions. If there will be any questions.
Okay, I got it. Hi everyone, I'm happy to share my project plan to all of you from all over the world. I was inspired by the materials we have read this week, measuring social capital among youth, application in environmental education. Using environmental education approaches not only includes those actions we take, but also includes the education part. So the schools can provide textbooks related to environment education, and in my plan, communities can offer extensive readings, such as picture books, which is the main topic of my plan. I divided my plan into two parts. The first part is about achieving environmental education by picture books supported by social capital and political efficacy. And the second part is recycling textbooks. In the article, I noticed that it says a large number of studies have linked social capital to a suite of positive youth development outcomes. Although youth development outcomes have not always been considered important in the field of EE, which has emphasized environmental outcomes or natural capital. However, what I'm thinking about is social capital can be used in gathering available resources to achieve EE outcomes. The first step of my plan is to create a community of people who are interested in making picture books related to environment protection or creatures owners. The second step is DIY picture books. Parents can take their children to the community 3 or 4 times a month, and they can get engaged in those activities about the DIY picture books of animals, plants, or other things they like. As the article put, because of social capital's relevance to EE, we developed and assessed for reliability a measure of social capital among youth that could be used in EE programs. This activity is a collective action, and I think we need to gain the support of parents and the kids if they understand. The third part is set up a reading room like this. It can be one of the hardest part. There are 2 problems need to be solved. First, how to persuade community services to support our program, and second, where can we obtain the capital or investment used in decorating the reading room, buying those picture books, and the chairs or any other facilities. We can try to gain support by government or non-government organizations. And the fourth part is about reading and sharing picture books, provided and picked out by institutions and schools. Selected picture books on shelves can be read by children and their parents whenever they come. They just need to register and borrow those picture books back to home, or they can read books at the reading room. We also can put some English picture books here, like I shared before on Facebook. For Chinese students, they can learn English and get interested in environment protection. Besides, they also can share ideas about environmental protection in forms of a short essay, or a picture, or handmade trinkets made by some recycling stuff, of course with the help of their parents. And the last part is about environment in education lectures. We can invite some common people like community activists or some who devote themselves to environment protection activities to share their experience and feelings. This section is related to the fourth pathway role model of achieving political efficacy. And let me see. Yes. And the second part of my project is recycling textbook. In China, when new semester starts, children need to buy many books. I grew up in the countryside, so I knew that teachers of primary school won't pay much attention to education or some other subjects, expect Chinese, math, and English. These are very important subjects. You can imagine the utilization of those kind of books. And there is a problem when kids go to a higher grade. How do they deal with those textbooks used? The truth is, at the end of the term or before the new term, they usually choose to sell those books as waste. And this chart shows an overview of children's statistics and expected numbers of newborns from 2003 to 2020. This dark blue areas refers to children between 0 to 14 years old. The unit is 100 million, and the lightest one the lightest one refers to newborns after two-child policy carried out. We can see from this chart that the total number of newborns will reach almost 320 million, and till then, with the arrival of baby boom, more trees will be cut down to make books or papers for these children. I suggest that we can take Australia as an example. Australia implement public textbook. It is a good way to reduce the waste of textbooks, but it is not the main project of my plan. So I just briefly introduce this kind of way. Okay, so that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yijiang. It was so great. There was the question, where you're from? You are from Xi'an International Studies University, correct, right?
Yes.
So participants here mentioned, great work. And there's a question, is there a relationship between those two projects, like picture books and recycling? Is there any relationship between or overlap, or how they interact? Possibly.
Okay, what
So
do you think?
any relationship between these two parts, I guess, between picture books and recycling textbooks?
No. The reason I introduced the second part of my plan is that when I searched on the internet, I saw an article about public textbook. So I think it's a good way because there are so many Chinese students large enough to I think the textbook should be recycling. So I just introduced that way of.
Thank you. Also, from the comments, I see that there are so many terms that are kind of local, or maybe from your presentation, maybe not everybody knew what is DIY, do it yourself, right? So
Yeah.
and there's like question: what is baby boom, and what is public text? You can explain super briefly.
Okay. The baby boom is that as I show in the presentation that till 2020 that there will be more than please hold it for a minute. More than 300 million children or babies in China. So that's the increased number of babies in the baby boom.
Okay, so baby boom also I feel like a term in China and a little bit means a little bit different time than the similar term in America. When baby boomers after World War II, like in 50s and 60s, there was a lot of people who were born. Okay, and maybe just what is public textbook? Is this a textbook that goes from one generation of student to the next one, like passes on? Parents
yes, exactly.
Okay, so there will be like a lifetime for a textbook could be a few years, right? Like, I don't know, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, the reuse of the textbook.
Uh-huh. Thank you so much. We will move to another presenter, but if you can read, there might be a couple more questions for you, so you can see in the chat and type your question for those participants right there if there will be more questions. Okay, so just
okay.
share and answer your question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can stop sharing. You can stop sharing this.
Okay. Okay.
When we are switching to another presenter, I just want to make a quick announcement. So right after this webinar, we are going to have a Chinese webinar. We are going to share these excellent projects in Chinese. So we welcome Chinese participants to join. So we will use another Zoom session. So just welcome to join us later. With half an hour session.
Yeah, and also after this webinar, we will continue. We will make maybe 1-2 minutes break, and we will continue to stay here with community group leaders. I'm not sure if we have China community group leaders, if they will want to go with you or they want to stay here. Up to you. It's competing right now. Okay, so now I'd like to welcome our wonderful participant, Yue Yang. Yue Yang, are you here?
I think Yue Yang switched with Yu Wang. So, Wang Yu, are you here?
Oh, okay, I see it. I can unmute her. Yue Yang, can you hear? Yes.
Oh, let's make Alex. It's actually Wang Yu. Wang Yu will Wang Yu switched her session with Yue Yang.
Okay. So now we have Wang Yu. So I'll make her or he co-host.
Yeah, Wang Yu, can you share your screen?
Yes.
Okay, great, awesome.
Hi, Wang Yu. Okay, we can hear you. Excellent. Okay, so you have about 10 minutes and maybe a couple of minutes for questions and answers.
Okay.
Thank you. And you can speak just a little bit louder, maybe closer to the microphone.
Okay. So can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
My name is Wang Yu. I'm from Zaidi Nature Education Center in Kunming, Yunnan, China. Today I'm going to share my a very small project we have done called Close Exchanging Party. Before I talk about the project, I want to take a little bit of time to introduce my organization. Zaidi was established in 2012 as a non-profit enterprise, a social enterprise. So we mostly focusing on outdoor experience-oriented children development. And the meaning of our name is putting our feet on the ground, acting locally, and connecting kids with our land. I want to take just very few time talk about my own story. I was environmental education background, but then I started my organization as a nature education center. Why was that? It's mainly because of this term, nature deficit disorder. What does that mean? A few years ago, I met a girl very close to my hometown. And when I met her, she was very active. She was very smart. She talked a lot about her studies and a lot of things she knew. But later on, I met her again in the story was happening in a park near a lake. So she was screaming, she was crying. I asked her, what's wrong with you? What happened? And she said, dragonfly, dragonfly. She was scared. I've never saw a girl was so scared, upset by a dragonfly. It really helped me to understand this term, understand this situation that the young generation now, they know a lot about nature, but they don't really experience. They don't have the real experience with nature, and their knowledge is only about terms. It's nothing can help their future with conservation, or it's nothing can help them to have any real action to protect the nature. So that's why I started my interest in nature education and outdoor activities. What we do, basically, we're kind of a program-based organization. So we do programs with children, their parents. We have weekend programs. We have the parents union. We have the kids club, and we have project-based learning groups. We have visits to nature reserves, and we also have very interesting winter and the summer camps. And now we have a nature school, which is not very far from the central part of the city. That we are planning. We are wishing to have more schools can use this nature school for their teaching activities. And tonight, I'm going to talk about civic community programs. We are also launching more community programs in the city, in central part of the city. We want to involve more adults and the families into sustainable way of living and their practices. So this project is not really a project. It's an activity. It's interesting. It's very small, and it's very fun. Why I choose this activity to introduce is that everybody in the world can take can use this example in your community. What have we done? We brought our extra clothes, shoes, and bags together, and then we make an exchanging party. So everybody, you can choose. The clothes and shoes are not. It's not good. It's not something not good, but it's something not fitting you. So you bring them. Maybe you are pregnant, have a baby, and you gain so much weight. This is too small to sing. So, but you brought this together. It was a big party, and we exchange. We choose something fit us, and then it's not free. You have to pay, either with another similar stuff, or you can use something you can do with other people. Like one of our new colleague, she was moved to the city very recent. She doesn't have enough clothes, so she was the one went the most, but she gave commitment to the other people who give her clothes, to the other colleagues or friends to do bird watching in her community. Another girl give a song, record a song for another colleague's baby. And we have other fun things all together. So it made the whole event very, fashion. We are gaining secondhand clothes, but we are so happy to have it to wear it on. Those are pictures to show what happened in the event and what after. She was the one took the lead for the bird watching for colleagues. She has to teach one colleague from zero to watching or identify all the birds in her component. So it was very interesting. As you can see, it's not only something to exchange, but it's also about a social norm or an idea of I can buy less. This was another one. She was the singer. And this was me. I was the one who has to make a toy, which I haven't finished after half year, but I will. So look at this small activity. It's really very small, but we try to build an understanding of what we need, what we really need. If I can use less, but I still keep that fashion. If I do this, this is good to the environment. It's good to my community. It's good to my friends. So it's very valuable. It's not only for myself. It gains social capacity. And also, it was very fun. We have very good friendship. So as a theory of change, it also brings friendship it helps us to build our health and well-being. So that was my understanding of this activity and how it related to the theory of change. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Wang Yu. Wow, this is amazing. And I see that some people, Marianne mentioned that's fantastic activities. I don't know if Marianne has any comments here while we look for more questions.
Yeah, thank you, Wang Yu. That was really interesting because it touches on sort of building trust or social capital through these activities. At the same time, the activities are focused on the environment. The one question I had, you said that you had to do something that you hadn't done as maybe part of the exchange, but I didn't hear what you're still having to do.
I haven't finished. I have to make a close toy, a little horse to the one who gave me a pair of shoes.
A little horse? I still don't understand.
Okay, I try to. I have to do some handcraft.
Okay. With the shoes? Or no, the person who gave you the shoes would like a handcraft that you're able to make.
Yes.
Okay. So this is great. I mean, it's like informal exchange, but of which I think there's probably lots of ways communities do these kinds of informal exchanges, but it's organized around environmental themes. And I think it's really interesting. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also really enjoyed to see how you connected different environmental education outcomes that can be and variety of activities. That's so amazing.
Thank you.
Did you have your email in your slide, in your last slide? If you not, I didn't notice that. If not, you can type it here so that if others have questions for you later, I like presenters to share their contact information, just in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it here, but I will also would like to type it in a screen.
Uh-huh.
The chat.
Alex,
Yeah.
can you make sure that the previous presenter, because some people wanted to know the directions for making the do-it-yourself DIY books. And so somebody might want to contact her, or maybe if she has the directions, they can be shared somehow through WeChat, or I can't remember if the person who asked, I think the person who asked was an English language speaker, so I don't know if they're available in English.
Yes, we'll definitely share the contacts and presentations later, and actually definitely the recording of this webinar.
Also, next week, Alex, before we leave, because it's 9 o'clock, are you going to,
Yes.
what are we doing next week for our webinars?
Yes, we'll have in a minute, we'll have a leaders webinar.
No, but next week, because it's a holiday next Thursday in the US, did we have a plan for webinars for a week from today?
Maybe yes, maybe not. We'll decide this. Probably not, but we do have a plan, or you had a plan to have a grand webinar or something like big webinar for Chinese people, only in Chinese language. So maybe we'll take a little break next week. We'll decide. But we do have a big interest, I think, from some people who would like to share. So I'd like to remind everybody that we are happy to hear from you and learn about your EE programs in light of different environmental education outcomes. And if you would like to present in some of the future weeks, please email me and we'll keep you in mind. We'll see how many people would like, maybe first come, first served. And we also have to have webinars about the final project, etc. So we'll see how many people can accommodate. And I see, for example, one of the persons who messaged here, Guillermo Perez from Chile, probably he'll also want to present maybe in some of the future. So please email me so I keep all people who would like to present. Again, thank you.
If you'd like to, if our Spanish speakers would like to have a Spanish webinar, maybe one of you can lead one and we can help you set it up by Zoom. I think that would be possible.
Great suggestion.
So just let us know. I just posted to Alex's email. Okay. Goodbye, folks that are moving to the Chinese webinar or going off.
Okay, thank you so much again to all the presenters. For those who are leaders, stay here. We will meet with you in 2 minutes. We will have a 2-minute break and then come back here. If you're not a leader, so thank you so much again. Have a great time, night or the evening. If you want, you can join us again at 8 p.m. At night, Eastern time. So we'll have 3 other presenters, which you can also watch. Thanks again. Bye-bye.